Hello PEI. Today we're exploring those lesser-known wonders and captivating legends that make Prince Edward Island so unique.
Sounds intriguing.
We'll be using excerpts from Legends of Prince Edward Island and PEI's Little-Known Wonders to guide our exploration.
Two great sources.
So if you're thinking about a visit, or maybe you're just fascinated by folklore, or even if you just love a good story, this one's for you.
I think it's fascinating how these sources blend together the tangible and the intangible. We have natural phenomena like the Northern Lights right alongside stories passed down through generations, like that tale of the Tweedlers.
The Tweedlers, we'll get to those. But, I've always been fascinated by the Northern Lights, but I had no idea PEI was such a great spot to see them.
Oh, absolutely.
The book suggests heading to those rural areas along the North Coast for optimal viewing.
Makes sense, less light pollution.
Yeah, especially places like Covent Harbor and Cavendish Beach.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's all about minimizing that light pollution to let those celestial colors shine. And when you combine that with the ocean backdrop, breathtaking. Absolutely breathtaking.
I bet. Speaking of the ocean, I was surprised to learn about PEI's connection to Irish moss,
Oh, really?
a type of seaweed. Apparently the island is a major source of it.
Yes, indeed. Harvested here for centuries.
Really?
Initially for traditional medicine and as a food source.
I had no idea.
These days, it's mainly used as a thickening agent in various products.
Huh.
You know what I find interesting, though?
What's that?
While most harvesting is done by boat now, there are still times, especially after storms, when you can see the traditional horse-drawn rakes being used to collect that moss.
Wow.
It's a real glimpse into the island's past, a reminder of how intertwined PEI's history is with the sea.
It really is. It's amazing how something as seemingly simple as seaweed can have such a rich history and cultural significance.
Right.
And speaking of unexpected discoveries, have you heard about the singing sands at Basin Head Beach in Souris?
Oh, can't say that I have.
Apparently the sand squeaks when you walk on it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's wild.
The book says that while the exact scientific reason behind the squeaking is still debated, it's likely due to the unique shape and silica content of the sand grains.
That makes sense.
It just goes to show, right? There's still mysteries hidden in plain sight, just waiting to be uncovered.
Absolutely.
Makes you wonder what other secrets the island holds. Now, the book also mentions the meeting of the tides at North Cape and East Point.
Okay.
What's so special about that?
Well, that's where the tides from the Northumberland Strait and the Gulf of St. Lawrence collide,
Oh, wow.
creating this visible line where these powerful forces meet. It's like a constant push and pull shaping that coastline. The East Point Lighthouse is supposed to be an amazing vantage point to witness it.
I bet. I can only imagine the power you'd feel standing there watching those tides clash. Must be a truly humbling experience. But enough about the natural wonders. I'm itching to dive into those PEI legends.
All right, let's do it.
Where should we start?
Well, the book starts with the Micmac legend of the Tweedlers, a race of small people who supposedly inhabited PEI before the arrival of the Micmac. The legend speaks of a great battle between the two groups at Pretty Stream, which has been identified as Hyde Creek in Cornwall.
So do you think there's any historical basis for these little people tales, or are they purely mythical?
It's tough to say for sure. Some believe the Tweedlers could represent an earlier indigenous group that lived on the island,
Okay.
while others see them as purely fantastical beings, maybe embodying those mysteries of the natural world. The book mentions that Kello's Hollow, the site of the supposed battle, is said to have an enchanted atmosphere, almost as if the spirits of the past still linger there.
It's fascinating how those legends become intertwined with the landscape itself, adding an extra layer of intrigue to those places. And speaking of intriguing, the book mentions the legend of Princess Minneota and her sacrifice to a lake monster. What's that all about?
Oh, right. The story tells of Princess Minneota's selfless act to save her people from a monstrous creature dwelling in a lake. The exact location of the lake is debated, though. Possibilities range from O'Keefe's Lake to a pond near Melpeak Bay, or even a pool near Kello's Hollow.
So it's like a real-life mystery within the legend, adding to the intrigue. But why did she sacrifice herself? Was it to appease the monster?
It wasn't about appeasement. The legend says that through her sacrifice, a magical healing stone, the Minneota Stone, was created. This stone had the power to heal any ailment, but it came with a strict instruction from Glooskap, a key figure in Micmac mythology. The stone could only be used to heal the Micmac people.
Glooskap. Can you tell us a bit more about who that is?
Oh, of course. Glooskap is a central figure in Micmac mythology, often seen as a creator, a trickster, and a teacher. He's a powerful being who shapes the world and teaches the Micmac people how to live in harmony with nature.
So he plays a similar role to other cultural heroes and trickster figures found in mythologies around the world.
Right, exactly.
So what happened to the Minneota stone? Did it actually heal people?
The legend says it did, for a time. However, it was eventually lost because someone used it to heal a non-Micmac person, breaking Glooskap's instructions. This act led to the stone's disappearance, highlighting the consequences of violating a sacred trust.
It's a cautionary tale, reminding us to respect cultural boundaries and traditions. And speaking of tales, the book mentions a connection between the Minneota stone and the legend of the Witch of Port LaJoy. How do those two stories intertwine?
Well, it involves a woman named Madame Granville and her daughter Marie, who lived among the Micmac. Marie married a Micmac chief's son, but tragedy struck when Madame Granville drowned. Desperate to save her, they used the Minneota stone to revive Marie, but this act ultimately led to the stone's destruction.
Oh no, so that's how it was lost. But what does this have to do with the Witch of Port LaJoy? Was it Marie?
It was. After being revived, Marie was accused of witchcraft and ultimately executed. Some believe her accusations stem from cultural misunderstandings and prejudices between the French and Micmac communities at the time. The legend says that you can still hear Marie's haunting melody near Blockhouse Point Lighthouse, a chilling reminder of her tragic fate.
It's a heartbreaking story highlighting the dangers of ignorance and fear. And speaking of chilling tales, the book mentions the Phantom Church of St. John. What's the story behind that one?
This legend is connected to the Acadian expulsion, a dark chapter in PEI's history. Imagine you're attending your final prayer service before being forced from your home, and British soldiers interrupt, ordering everyone to leave. The legend claims that the ghostly image of the church now reappears on the spot where it once stood, complete with chanting and flickering candles.
It's a poignant reminder of the trauma and displacement endured by the Acadian people, a haunting echo of their forced exodus. It's incredible how those stories connect us to the past, allowing us to glimpse into the lives and experiences of those who came before us.
It's a powerful reminder that history is not just about dates and events, but about the human stories that shaped those moments. And sometimes those stories are passed down through legends, keeping those memories alive for generations to come.
Speaking of stories, the book also mentions the legend of the Hunchback of Point Prim. What can you tell us about that one?
It's a tale of buried treasure and a restless spirit. The legend speaks of a hunchbacked farmer who hid his riches before being deported during the Acadian expulsion. His ship, the Violet, sank during the journey, but the farmer's ghost is said to return to Point Prim to search for his lost treasure. People have reported seeing his stooped figure and hearing digging sounds near the Point Prim lighthouse.
It's a classic ghost story with a touch of greed and the unfulfilled desires of the past. It makes you wonder, do you think there's any truth to these treasure hunting ghost stories? Or are they purely fueled by imagination and folklore?
It's a question that has fascinated people for centuries. Perhaps it's the allure of hidden riches, or maybe it's the idea that even in death, some souls are still driven by earthly desires. The human psyche is drawn to mystery, and the possibility of uncovering a long-lost treasure hidden by a ghost is certainly a captivating one.
It's definitely a story that sparks the imagination. Now let's lighten things up a bit. The book also mentions a tale about fairies at Cape Wolf. Tell us more about that one.
The Fairies of Cape Wolf. This is a lighter tale compared to the previous ones. It's about a man named John French who encountered fairies in a supposedly haunted, abandoned cabin. Drawn by music and lights on Halloween, John joined the fairies' revelry and, as a result, shrunk to their size. It's a whimsical story that speaks to the enduring allure of fairy lore and the human desire to escape the mundane.
It sounds like a delightful escape from reality. A reminder that even in a world increasingly dominated by technology and logic, there's still room for magic and wonder. Speaking of wonder, the book mentions a story with some historical intrigue, the White Lady of Holland Cove. What can you tell us about that one?
This legend centers around Samuel Holland, the surveyor who mapped PEI, and his supposed mistress, Racine. The story goes that Racine drowned in Charlottetown harbor, and her ghost, dressed in white, appears every July 14th, searching for Holland.
I suppose there's a certain romanticism to the idea of a ghost eternally searching for her lost love. I'm curious about the story of the Ghosts of Brudenell Island. What can you tell us about that one?
This is another chilling tale of loss and the potential for spirits to remain tethered to the places of their demise. The story goes that a mother and daughter vanished from the Brudenell settlement, only to be found dead on Brudenell Island. People report seeing their apparitions running across the water to the island, beckoning others to follow.
It's a terrifying thought, to be lured to your death by a ghostly apparition. I'm eager to hear about one of PEI's most famous ghost stories, the ghost ship of the Northumberland Strait. What makes this story so captivating?
This legend has captured the imaginations of people for generations. Imagine this: a burning phantom ship, often described as a three-masted schooner, suddenly appears sailing the strait. It's been seen in various locations, from West Point Lighthouse to Murray Harbor, always engulfed in flames.
It sounds terrifying, but what happens to the ship? Does it attack people?
That's the curious part. The stories vary. Some sightings describe the ship disappearing into thin air, while others claim it sinks beneath the waves. There's no single historical event definitively linked to this ghost ship, which only adds to its mystery.
It's almost as if it exists outside of time and history, a phantom from another realm. Do the stories mention anything specific about the ship itself? Is there a name or any clues to its origins?
That's part of the enduring mystery. There are no consistent details about its name or history, making it even more elusive. However, one chilling detail that recurs in many accounts is the figure of a man seen walking the deck of the burning vessel, seemingly unfazed by the inferno surrounding him.
It's a haunting image, that lone figure standing amidst the flames. It makes you wonder about his story, his connection to the ship, and why he seems trapped in that fiery purgatory. It's a reminder that even within these fantastical legends, there are glimpses of human stories, individual tragedies woven into the fabric of the supernatural.
Exactly. It's those human elements, those glimpses into the lives and experiences of those who came before us, that make these legends so compelling. One of the most famous forerunner stories is that of the bell ringers of the Kirk of St. James in Charlottetown. The story goes that on October 7th, 1853, people heard the church bell ringing early in the morning, despite there being no reason for it. Several witnesses even saw women dressed in white inside and around the church, seemingly ringing the bell.
That's eerie. So what happened after that? Did something terrible occur?
Later that day, a mail steamer called the Fairy Queen sank in the Northumberland Strait, claiming 7 lives, including 3 parishioners of the Kirk of St. James. Many believed that the mysterious bell ringing and the white-clad figures were forerunners, warning of the impending tragedy.
I'm curious about the final story mentioned in the book, The Haunting of Binstead Manor. What makes this story so captivating?
This is a tale recounted by a Mrs. Georgina Penny, who lived in Binstead Manor, located outside of Charlottetown, with her family in the 1850s. They began experiencing strange phenomena, unexplained noises, shrieks, and even apparitions.
A classic haunted house story. What kind of apparitions did they see?
A visiting guest described seeing a woman with a baby by the fireplace, while Mrs. Penny herself encountered a similar figure on the staircase.
That's creepy. Were there any clues to the identity of these ghostly figures?
The most intriguing part is that the manor had a history of a missing servant girl and her baby. Later, a farmhand named Henry Newberry, who was working at Binstead, admitted to seeing a woman in his room. As it turned out, Henry was the orphan nephew of that missing servant girl. So he may have encountered the ghost of his own mother, unknowingly drawn back to the place of his birth.
Wow. What a chilling twist of fate and family secrets, echoing through generations. It's almost as if those spirits were trying to connect with him, to reveal the truth of their tragic past. After hearing all these tales, I'm starting to see PEI in a whole new light. It's not just a beautiful island with stunning scenery and delicious seafood. It's also a place where the past lingers, where stories whisper on the wind, and where the boundaries between reality and myth blur, inviting us to explore the mysteries that lie hidden just beneath the surface.
And who knows what mysteries you might uncover? Perhaps you'll hear the whisper of the White Lady's gown, or catch a glimpse of the phantom ship sailing across the Northumberland Strait.
Well, I'm certainly ready to start exploring, but before we head off on our own PEI adventures, I have to give a huge shout out to the folks who helped make this deep dive possible.
Absolutely. A big thank you to the authors of Legends of Prince Edward Island and PEI's Little Known Wonders for sharing these incredible stories and giving us a glimpse into the heart and soul of this remarkable island.
And of course, we can't forget about our real estate guru, Mike Montague Remax, Charlottetown Realty, your island realtor. If you're looking to experience the magic of PEI firsthand, Mike is the go-to guy for finding your dream home on this enchanting island.
He can help you find the perfect spot, whether you're looking for a cozy cottage near those singing sands or a grand estate with a view of the Northumberland Strait.
So to wrap things up, I have to say, hello PEI. You've truly captivated us with your natural wonders and spine-tingling legends. We've learned about singing sands and squeaking tides, encountered mischievous fairies and restless spirits, and even braved the ghostly waters of the Northumberland Strait.
It's been an incredible journey exploring the hidden stories and mysteries of this captivating island.
And with so many mysteries and stories woven into the fabric of PEI, what legends will you uncover when you explore the island? Until next time, keep diving deep.